Yokoya is a lonely boy who misses his mum when suddenly the doorbell rings, forcing him to get up. On the camera, he sees a maid who looks like an emo version of Violet Evergarden, asking to be his maid. Yokoya lets her in, offers her a seat on the couch, and gives her a drink, wondering if she's here to either steal his kidneys or sell him some happy powder. He asks about her experience as a maid, but she says she worked as an assassin, targeting those who rebelled against her master. Yokoya thinks she's joking, but realizing she's serious, he grows nervous. He changes the subject, asking her about her specialty in assassination. They go outside and she pulls out her knives, does a backflip, and throws them with precision at a tree, showing off her skill in knife throwing. She proudly explains that knife throwing is just one of her many abilities as an assassin. Even though Yokoya is impressed, he tells her he can't employ the female John Wick as his servant. While disappointed, she respects his decision, apologizes for wasting his time, and leaves. As she walks out, looking down, he notices she left something behind. Meanwhile, the maid walks away, unsure of her next move and wondering if he'll chase after her. But when she glances back, no one is there, and she feels a pang of disappointment. Just as she crosses the train tracks, Yokoya shouts her name, holding a small bell she forgot. She turns around just as a train barrels toward him. She rushes back, saving him just in time. Blushing, and Yokoya thanks her for saving his life. Yokoya hands her the bell she left behind, and she thanks him before turning to leave again. But as she walks away, Yokoya changes his mind and calls her back, saying he needs help with cleaning. Back at his place, Yokoya is shocked as she unpacks dozens of knives. Yokoya interrupts, clarifying that he needs help with cleaning trash. She only seems to understand cleaning as disposing of bodies, so he carefully explains that he needs a housekeeper. Later, Yokoya returns to a chaotic scene. She's soaking wet with a broken mop in one hand and a bucket on her head. She apologizes profusely, slipping on the wet floor but deftly recovering with a Spider-Man-like pose, though the bucket still smacks her on the head. Seeing her clumsiness, Yokoya asks if she's always like this. Embarrassed, she apologizes, and Yokoya gently removes the bucket, hands her a towel, and encourages her to learn with his help. She nods cutely, and hours later, the place is spotless. Yokoya praises her for her hard work, which makes her smile. Then he checks the time, realizing it's dinner, and asks if she can cook. She looks down sadly, and Yokoya assures her it's okay. He'll do the cooking while she takes a bath. In the bathtub, the maid thinks about Yokoya, blushing as the water soaks her. Meanwhile, Yokoya imagines her stepping out in only a towel, but she soon appears fully dressed in her uniform. At dinner, Yokoya warns her to be careful, but she confidently starts chopping cabbage like she's slicing through human targets. Yokoya pulls out ramen and fried pork, which confuses her. She's unsure if she's ever had fried pork and admits she's never paid much attention to food. Yokoya insists that one bite of fried pork will make her feel like she's in Food Wars. Feeling confident, he serves the fried pork, but then realizes he doesn't know her name. The maid tells him she doesn't have one. Her master always gave her a name. They start eating, and her first bite triggers a warm feeling she can't identify. She tells Yokoya his cooking tastes delicious and that he too feels warm to her, but he doesn't hear. He mentions he prepared a room just for her, and as she hears this, she recalls a dark memory of bathing in blood, but feels comforted by her new master's kindness. Noticing her pork doesn't have sauce, Yokoya offers her some. When she takes a bite with the tonkatsu sauce, her face lights up with delight. Later that night, Yokoya wakes from a bad dream, feeling hungry. He heads to the kitchen, only to find the maid there, snacking on tonkatsu sauce straight from the bottle. They freeze in awkward silence before she apologizes for her sauce addiction. Yokoya laughs, saying it's fine, and offers her a snack. They sit together, eating, when she asks if he often has nightmares. He explains he does, and she reveals that she heard him calling out in his sleep and thought an assassin had broken in, only to find him crying in his sleep. Yokoya, embarrassed, listens as she recalls her own strange dream about the sauce inviting her to lick all she wants. She admits it's the first time she dreamed of something other than assassination and that she wished to continue it. She feels sad that Yokoya struggles with his nightmares and wishes she could comfort him. Yokoya confesses he often dreams of his mom leaving him, and when he wakes up alone, he misses her comfort. The maid, moved, offers her lap for him to rest on. Yokoya hesitates, but seeing her disappointment, He finally accepts, laying his head down. The warmth between them grows, and as he drifts off, he notices her looking down at him tenderly. She wonders why her heart races when she's near him, feeling something new and comforting in this quiet moment. The next morning, she slices up trash like Fruit Ninja before bagging it, explaining to an impressed Yokoya that it saves space. Suddenly, they find a stray dog outside with a note from a broke owner. Assuming Yokoya, being wealthy, would care for it. Though Yokoya hesitates, he decides to take in the dog, not wanting it to suffer from abandonment. The maid, however, sees things differently, arguing that helping the dog might weaken its survival instincts. Yokoya dismisses this, saying he understands what it feels like to be abandoned and insists on giving the dog a chance, just as she gave him one when she saved his life. As Yokoya bonds with the puppy, he notices the maid's obvious discomfort around it. He realizes, to his surprise, that she's afraid of dogs. Embarrassed, she explains that during her training, she was left alone on a mountain with wild, fierce dogs. Yokoya sympathizes, acknowledging the trauma, though he encourages her to try. Determined, she cautiously holds the puppy as if it's an active bomb, her hands trembling. She confesses that the claws, teeth, and intense eyes unsettle her, but Yokoya reassures her, saying he sees the dog as friendly and harmless. Suddenly, the puppy nibbles her finger, and she nearly yelps, holding it away like it's dangerous. Laughing, Yokoya checks the puppy's teeth and realizes it's teething, so they take it to a vet. While he's at the clinic, the maid shops for supplies, surprising both Yokoya and the dog with her care. Later, as they walk the dog, the maid reflects, admitting she's never met anyone as gentle as Yokoya, unlike her previous masters who were cold and demanded perfection. Yokoya is kind and forgiving of her mistakes. She asks to stay in his world, a world of warmth and acceptance, unlike her life of survival and killing. She dreams of becoming like the dog, someone who belongs in this new, comforting world. Yokoya tells her that what she truly wants is to stop being an assassin and become a normal girl, something she's never considered before. Moved, she confesses that she wants to learn more about this world and her new master. Yokoya, too, admits he was initially intimidated by her, but now he sees her as a good kid. Her heart softens at his words, and she shyly asks him to help her become a normal girl. He promises to help, even if it means teaching her things she's never known, like the basics of everyday life. Yokoya gently encourages her to start feeling normal even when she makes mistakes, reminding her not to put so much pressure on herself. The next morning, the dog wakes up to the sound of her practicing how to cut cabbage, determined to learn how to make okonomiyaki so she can pair it with her favorite sauce. Suddenly, the dog instant transmissions to her leg, startling her. She can't believe an ordinary dog could sneak up on her, an assassin. Realizing it's hungry, she feeds it, and as the dog eagerly devours its meal, she cautiously reaches to pet it, only to pause when Yokoya appears. Yokoya affectionately rubs the dog's round belly and decides to name it Mochi. Praising the maid for feeding the dog and her progress with the cabbage, he gives her a playful twirl, lifting her spirits. Mochi, energized, starts pawing at Yokoya, asking to play, but he has to prepare dinner. The maid offers to handle it, saying she wants to believe in what he told her. Seeing her determination, Yokoya encourages her, trusting her completely. Inspired, she feels her confidence ignite, ready to embrace this new, hopeful role in her life. At dinner, she eagerly devours the saucy okonomiyaki, trying to hide her excitement when Yokoya offers a second helping. He assures her that if she ever has a request, she only needs to ask. And she takes this chance to ask him for a name. He names her Yuki, meaning snow. The name reminds her of her old master, who called her cold-blooded. But unlike him, Yokoya tells her he finds snow beautiful. He explains his theory that snow protects the ground, helping seeds to bloom into flowers in spring. Touched by his words, Yuki realizes that her life feels warmer and brighter by his side. She thanks him, smiling openly for the first time, and seeing her genuine smile makes Yokoya happy.